If your marketing is not getting cease and desist notices, then you're most likely not very aggressive and your marketing sucks. Hi, this is Jim Gibson with Entrepreneurs with Trucks, and today I want to talk to you about your marketing. Most marketing is pretty bad. It's focused in the wrong direction and it lacks any type of drive, any type of want to get something done, want to sell something. But I can tell you what happened to me. And I've gotten at least 3 cease and desist and a bunch of complaints over my marketing. And every time I get a cease and desist letter, you know what I do? I take a thumbtack and I put it up on the wall and I stick the thumbtack right on it. So what is a cease and desist? Well, cease and desist is a legal document, supposedly, that tells you you're doing something that other person doesn't like and they want you to stop doing it. Cease and desist. Well, just because it's signed by a lawyer doesn't mean anything. You might be in your total right to do what you're doing. In fact, one of the cease and desists that I got, you know what I did? Is I took it was a fax, and I wrote it with a big Sharpie, and I wrote back, "You cease and desist on sending me cease and desist," and I faxed it back to them. I'm sure that made their day. Oh, what's he doing? He's not listening to us. Yeah, I don't listen to anybody except my customers. Well, let me tell you, I've never done anything illegal or unethical. But if you're aggressive in your marketing, you're going to get cease and desist letters. You're going to get people complaining. Your competitors are going to be upset. And if none of this is happening, then your marketing is really pretty bad. And you need to listen to this. So let me give you an example, okay? I'm going to start with Toshiba. Now, Toshiba, in my opinion, is the best company out there. And I worked with them for many, many years as a dealer. They are just fantastic. In fact, I spent 3 months just about every day researching every single phone system that was made in America to find out exactly what was the best phone system. I decided that I was only going to sell the best telephone system out there. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, telephone systems? What are you talking about? They're not really that crucial anymore. Well, people still use them, but what I'm talking about happened in the early 90s. Now, I've gotten at least 3 cease and desist orders in my time. I wish I would have got more, to tell you the truth. But let me be honest with you. I've never broke the law. I never broke any contracts. And I've never done anything that's illegal or unethical. But I generated a lot of excitement with people, and most of it, or not most of it, but a good portion of it was negative. And if you're not getting people riled up about your marketing, then you're probably not doing marketing to the level that needs to be done if you want to be successful. And I'm not encouraging you to do anything illegal or unethical. I'm just telling you, if you're going to market, for God's sake, market hard. Annoy people. Annoy your competitors. Do something. Just don't sit around and do fluff type of marketing that everyone kind of likes. You got to stand out. You know, one of my logos on this channel is a red truck. You know why it's a red truck? Because I like red. Red stands out. Red's aggressive. Okay? It's not passive. And it's also green because green is the color of money. I want to make money. I want to be successful. And I want to do it in such a way that my potential customers know who I am, even if they don't buy from me. So let's start out with the first situation. Now, before I started my business, I decided I was going to sell telephone systems and computer networks. And this all took place in the early 90s, okay? So we're dealing with something that's many decades old, but it applies to today. So I ran my company, Noah Voice and Data Systems. I ran that company for 30 years before I sold it. So one of the things I want to talk about is the fact before I decided to sell one piece of equipment, when it came to business telephone systems, I wanted the best business telephone system. So I researched all these telephone systems, I mean all of them. Every telephone system that's sold in America, I researched it. I wanted a system that was the best. I decided on Toshiba, and they were fantastic. Their phones were like unbelievable as far as quality. There was no better phone system than a Toshiba business phone system back in the 90s and a good portion of the 2000s. I endeavored to get a dealership. Now, a dealership is you got to ask them, you got to apply, they got to think that you're able to sell their product. You got to go to training and everything else. That was another thing. I wanted to know which manufacturer offered training, which system was going to support my company the best, which system could I honestly sell to my customers and not stay up at night and wonder if that system is going to break down. And so I picked Toshiba. And let me tell you, Toshiba business systems, when it came to telephones, I don't know about the rest of Toshiba, but when it came to telephones, they were fantastic. They were the best. You couldn't buy a better business telephone system than Toshiba. Now, Toshiba doesn't sell phone systems anymore. So they closed that division down years ago. And it's a shame because it really was the best system. And if I remember right, it was the second most popular system in the United States. And so it was a great opportunity for me. Their market share was phenomenal, and they had a phenomenal product. And so everything I'm about to say, keep that in mind. As I was doing my marketing, I got a letter from Toshiba saying, cease and desist with your advertisement and do it immediately. Now, normally, who cares, right? Except that I was a dealer. And that meant that if I don't comply with their rules, then I am no longer a dealer and I can't sell their products. And so I called up their department that handles these things at Toshiba and I said, what's wrong? And they said, well, just go on Google and look and type in Toshiba and see what happens. So I typed in Toshiba and my company came up number one. It came up above Toshiba. And I said, yeah, what's the issue here? And they said, well, you know, the issue is, Jim, that you are a violation of your dealership. And I said, how's that? And he said, well, you're selling all throughout the world. And I said, no, I'm marketing throughout the world. It's called the internet. Now remember, this is the mid-90s probably at that point. A lot of people didn't know how to market on the internet, and YouTube was fairly new. So how this happened was I had an employee sit down over Christmas vacation, and we designed 2 additional websites. And the 2 additional websites fed into my website, which I was selling Toshiba products. And we listed every single product that Toshiba offered in their business section, their telephone networks. And it all pointed back to my main company, Nova Voice and Data Systems. And once we launched all these websites, and I don't think you can do that today, by the way, you know, it's a different time. But once I launched all these websites, I would say within 2 or 3 weeks, I was getting leads, 3, 5 leads a week. Now, my agreement said that I can't sell outside of Southern California. At that time, it said that. And so Toshiba was upset that I was getting all this attention all over the United States. And all my fellow dealers were complaining to Toshiba about the fact that I was marketing in their area. And so I always like these type of complaints, you know? So what? You know, I go to the bank, I laugh all the way to the bank when I'm selling things. But what I told Toshiba was I was not installing any systems outside of my area that I've been an authorized dealer in. And so they said, well, what are you doing with all these leads? And I said, I'm actually giving them to fellow Toshiba dealers. Now, after that, I started selling those leads to fellow Toshiba dealers. And so they said, well, give us a month. Let us research this. And I say, guys, if I give you a month, I will lose my rating with Google. Google will not keep me number 1 anymore. Someone else will be in there. And it's not going to be a Toshiba dealer when it comes to business phone systems. And they said, okay, well, we're going to have to research this. So for now, stop. Nothing I could do about it. That was part of my contract with Toshiba. And again, I'm not saying this in a negative way, because Toshiba, in my mind, was a fantastic company. And I don't know about the rest of the company, but if it's anything like the people I had to deal with at Toshiba, they are just a solid, fantastic company. So I'm not saying anything negative about Toshiba. They were also learning about marketing at that point. They did not know how to market on the internet. This was the early days of the internet. And I slam dunked it, man. I really did. They were really ticked at me over this. But I didn't violate the contract. I pointed out that I didn't violate the contract, and I would say 2 or 3 weeks later, they said, oh, okay, what you're doing is really okay. Continue. Yeah, by then I lost my standing there with Google, so if you did a search, I didn't even come up, I don't think, at that point, because I had to turn off my websites at that point. And then they started picking my brain. They started saying, how did you do this? What did you do here? What did you do there? How did you do this? How did you do this? That. And so I told them how I did everything, and I should not have, because they produced a training manual that they gave to all my competitors, all the other Toshiba dealers in America. And so that was a bad thing, not a good thing. The next was that I decided to go down the road of doing the videos. Toshiba videos. And I mean, we're talking about 15 years ago. I was doing training videos. One of the things I noticed is with the Toshiba phone system, that had a little quirk, and the quirk was that it didn't adjust for daylight savings time. So I would get phone calls after phone calls on daylight savings time. And so what I decided to do was I would tell people, well, on your phone you got to dial in this code, then you got to dial in the hours, and then you got to dial in AM, PM, then you got to dial in the date, and you got to put in a little code on the DTMF pad, and then when you're all done, you got to hit these 2 numbers and it saves it. And no matter what I would do, even if I would print these instructions to my customers about how to adjust the time on their telephone systems, no matter what I would do, they would call back 5 minutes later and say, okay, I got halfway through, can you tell me again? So one of the things I did was, because YouTube was new at that point, and I was not thinking about making money on YouTube, I was thinking about saving my employees from talking about these issues for 2 weeks after a time change in the fall or in the spring. So we did a video that showed people how to change the time. And now they can look at the video on their computer and they can actually change the time on their telephone system. Now, if you're not of my generation, then you don't realize what was happening. Now you don't have that issue. Phone systems, your cell phone adjusts the time automatically, and so you don't have to worry about it. But back then, that was a big deal. Getting the time right on your phones, so the display on the phone would show the time and date. And that's what my customers wanted. And because they're my customers and they wanted it, I wanted it also. So I did a video, and all of a sudden the video took off. There was people, again, calling from all over the United States asking for tech support, which, by the way, I was allowed to do. And not only that, I was getting thousands and thousands of views back then, when thousands and thousands of views it was a big deal back then. I don't know how many there was. We're talking about the 90s, okay? So I forget half of this stuff. And again, Toshiba called me up and said, what are you doing? Now, this time they didn't send me a cease and desist. Now, I tell you how good the product was. That when I went to Toshiba events, they had a dealership meetings, and they were really nice meetings. I mean, I remember one was in Puerto Rico and different areas of the country. They were just fantastic. I would always get awards. I got awards for Toshiba National Accounts, and they opened up national accounts around that time, so that meant that I could sell anywhere in the country. And I would turn it over to a local contractor to install this system after I programmed it and I had all the paperwork in place. So I got that award often, a number of times, the best national account dealer in the West. Then I would get the best government dealer. I was selling to the federal government and to local governments. And then I'd also get the best local. So I was slam dunking this. I was outselling everybody. But I did it because I was aggressive in my marketing. I didn't wait for people to tell me not to do it or to do it. I decided I was going to be a national company and I was going to sell in every single state, every single year. And I accomplished that. We sold in every single state, every single year, and I got all the awards that Toshiba gave out in sales. Every single award. And it was all based on the very, very aggressive advertising, very, very aggressive marketing. And don't ever say it can't be done, because then you'll never do it. But you have to figure out in your business, how can you take the marketing that you're doing, or how can you develop marketing in such a way that is going to be very, very aggressive? Now, timidity is not a virtue, man. If you're in business and you want to grow, now maybe some people, I've talked to some people, okay, and they're great people, and I say, how long you been around? And they say, well, 15 years. And I say, well, how big are you? Well, I kind of like it at this size. And I said, okay, if that's what you like, then fine. But if you want to grow, then do something about it, okay? Stop whining about it, do something. Now the people I would talk to, they said, well, I just want to work for myself and just me. It's just me and my wife. Well, that's fine. And I'm sure he's a fantastic people. So I have no problem with that. That's not good enough for me. I want to be the best in the United States, and I want to be all over the United States. And I accomplish those goals by being very, very aggressive in my marketing. I mean, why would you not? Now you got the internet. It's very inexpensive to market on the internet. Why aren't you marketing more? Why aren't you marketing on the internet? I've never did anything illegal or unethical. But on my trucks in Southern California, along the whole side of the truck, I wrote Toshiba, because I was a Toshiba dealer and the best Toshiba dealer in the West, okay? Or at least I got the awards for it. So to make a long story short, all of a sudden I get a phone call from people at Toshiba, and they said, well, your trucks all say Toshiba. And I said, yes, I'm a Toshiba dealer. I'm selling for you people. And the sales staff there said, yeah, you're right. And I said, okay. A couple of weeks later, I was talking to them and I said, so how's the controversy going with the fact that I splashed Toshiba all over the side of my truck? Okay, you can't drive down the freeway with my trucks and not know that I'm a Toshiba Business Systems truck. What are you doing on your trucks? Oh, you're driving in a white truck. That has a little thing at the end that it says, that your business name. Man, my business name was all over the place, all over the United States. And thousands of systems. I think the last time I counted, it was over 6,000 systems in the United States. And so you can do the same thing. So these are the things that I did in my marketing. And this is what I'm telling you. That if you're not pulling attention, if you're not pulling eyes to your business, if you're not getting phone calls, then it's because of your marketing isn't targeted. You don't know what you're doing, that's first of all. Secondly, it's not only not targeted, you're wimpy. Please be aggressive. Unless you want to stay a mom and pop, that's fine. But I was not satisfied with staying as a Jim's Telephone Systems. No. I wanted to be national, and that was my goal. And when I look back on it, the only thing I think about criticize-wise, because I'm not out just to offend people, but I want to offend if they're not my customers. I take care of my customers. They come in number one. But the only thing I have regrets on is I could have done better. I could have been more aggressive. I had the staff. I had salespeople that I trained. We were closing really nice deals left and right, and I was taking care of every single one of my customers. And I had procedures in place, had policies in place. If you're a salesman, don't you dare lie to my customer, or I'll fire you. So we had ethics, we produced a good product, and we didn't look at trying to gouge people on every single sale. So it really worked out great. I doubt there's a place in America where within 100 miles is not a system that my company has installed. had over 200 subcontractors and about 30 employees. If you're going to take some of these ideas, do something with them, be aggressive, be upset when you're not making every sale. I always heard someone say, well, you know, the average is you close 3 to 7 sales for everything you propose. Nonsense. Be the person that's going to take this over in your field. Whatever product you're selling, be the person, be the company that sells that product better than anyone else. So whatever it's worth today, your marketing might suck. Why would you be spending money on it if you're not going to force people to send you, get so ticked at you, your competitors, and some wimpy manufacturers? You know, I just think some manufacturers, they just don't want to grow. They don't come up with innovation anymore. I'm thinking of some of the companies I had to deal with. They're still back in the 90s. They're still back what they did 20 years ago, 15 years ago. They haven't come out with anything new, and they're definitely not aggressive with it. You know, maybe that's what they need to do. Come out with something new and be aggressive. Be loud. Don't be quiet. Now here's an example of a fantastic marketing genius. Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. I remember the first time I saw Mike in his commercial, and I thought, this guy is selling pillows? This is like the biggest commodity there is. In other words, you can get it anywhere. You can go to Walmart and buy a very inexpensive pillow, and yet he is selling his pillows. He's made millions of dollars selling these pillows and sheets, and he expanded the sheets, okay? I think back then it was just pillows. And he talks about his pillow. He's the only one I know that has a brand name on a pillow. Now, there might be other companies I don't know about. That's because they don't market. And all these big companies that sell pillows, and yet you don't know who they are. You can't distinguish them from other products. If I'm thinking about a pillow, I'm thinking about My Pillow company. I am not thinking about some of these other companies that are out there. I don't know who they are. I don't know anybody else that sells pillows. They're no-name products. It's almost ridiculous that he was able to take a no-name product, a commodity that you can buy at Walmart, and advertise to you, and probably you know his name and probably you know his company just talking to you. Now the point is this, that he is a fantastic marketer. Now you may not like his pillows, you may not like his face or anything else, or you think he's too arrogant. Doesn't matter. He's made millions. How about you? What are you doing to market your company? Are you just going to be part of the quiet crowd, as I see, of all pillow manufacturers out there? Or are you going to be like Mike Lindell, My Pillow company, that you know that name? I don't know any other names, but I know his, and I know what he looks like, and I know he sells pillows. And my impression is that he sells the best pillows in the world. These are fantastic pillows. The covers are great and everything else. He sells sheets now, the last I heard. Now, I'm not a pillow or sheet person, but if I was going to buy pillows or buy sheets, I tell you what, I'd check him out first. That's the power of marketing, and someone who's a marketing genius. Why don't you become a marketing genius and have a marketing program just like him? I mean, you don't have to mimic him exactly, have TV commercials or whatever else it is, or internet commercials. You don't have to do that. You figure out how to market your own company. But if you don't stand out from the crowd, you're just the same as everybody else out there. Just the same as the guy down the street doing the exact same thing you're doing. So come up with a scheme, come up with a purpose, come up with a goal of marketing. How are you going to market your business? Are you interested even growing your business to the point to where, like Michael Lindell, he makes millions and millions of dollars on selling pillows. So pay attention to him. You know, I know a lot of people, they criticize. It is constantly criticized. Oh, this guy is this, but they know his name, and so do you. So pay attention to these things, and you're going to learn from people like My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you have a fantastic day today, as always. And please, if this type of information benefits you and you're thankful, then subscribe. I need subscribers and I need thumbs up. That's how you thank me. And you have a wonderful day.